Hello everyone. Welcome to Kissflow's Global Demo Day. I'm your host for today, myself Megha, and with me I have our speaker and our expert, Mr. Arvind Shivaram, who's a senior solution consultant at Kissflow, a team that is dedicated to help develop innovative business solutions for companies across industries. In today's demo, Mr. Arvind will be walking you all through the process of how you can build a custom inpatient experience app in weeks using low code. We will get started with the demo now. So over to Mr. Arvind.
I'd like to welcome you all to our Demo Day webinar. In today's webinar, we are going to be presenting how simple it is to create a custom inpatient experience management application using Kissflow's low-code, no-code platform. Now, the content that I'm going to be presenting in today's webinar is just one version of the solution that we have created using the platform. And we can even create different versions of the same solution, not just a different version of the same solution, but we can also create solutions for different use cases or different business requirements across the organization. I'd like to highlight this point because we not just offer a solution, but we offer a platform on top of which we can build multiple business solutions. So with that being said, I'd like to set the agenda for today's call. We'll start off with a quick introduction to Kissflow and what does Kissflow offer, followed by which we'll have the live demo of the application. And finally, we'll have the Q&A session. Kissflow. The term Kissflow stands for keep it simple and smart, and flow is part of workflow. And we at Kissflow, we offer a platform. So one platform that's being used by our customers widespread across the globe. To be specific, 160 countries, and we have around 10,000 plus customers, and we have around 1 million active users on the platform. These are some of the brands which trust Kissflow globally. And to highlight some of the healthcare customers, these are some of our popular healthcare brands that trust Kissflow in order to automate their core business processes. And what does Kissflow offer to these businesses globally? We help you to leverage and accelerate your overall digital transformation journey. And what does Kissflow offer when it comes to the platform? So there are these three core modules, and there are some of the supporting modules which leverage the overall business automation. To start off with, first we have the work management, which is a very typical solution for unstructured workflows where we can make use of the work management to manage a lot of ticketing systems, service requests, and IT bug tracking, and any project management related activities and so on. And then we have the process module where we can perform the process automation in order to automate a lot of the structured workflows where we can design the forms and we can automate the workflows with our own custom business rules. And then we have the app development where we can create custom dashboards with custom navigation for different users based on their roles when they access the application. And these are the supporting modules which leverage the overall business automation, where we have the collaboration, we have the reports and analytics, we have the integrations in order to integrate a platform with any of your existing systems. So as a platform, Kissflow can integrate with any third-party systems as far as we have the API access. And we are a platform very well supported on the mobile devices. So on both iOS and Android devices, Kissflow runs very well and smooth. So with that being said, I'd like to quickly take you through the live demo of the custom inpatient experience management application. And before I could start off with the actual demo of the application, I'd like to highlight the different personas that I'm going to be simulating in today's demo. So there are 4 different personas, starting with the admin or the senior management role, where they get to access the complete life cycle of the overall application. And then we have the inpatient ward manager, And then we have the housekeeping manager. And finally, we have the food and beverages department managers access to the application. With that being said, I'll quickly start presenting the application. So as we log in to the platform and we access the application, this is the first dashboard screen which an admin user or a senior management user would see. At the dashboard, they get to see what are the total number of patients that are currently admitted, and out of which how many are the inpatients, and how many rooms are available, and what's the revenue generated so far this month out of the business that they have operated. And there are a couple of graphs showing quick stats about the room allocation, and there is a graph showing the payment trends, because many of the customers who are part of the inpatient, and as they get discharged from the hospital, the payment either could be through cash, or it could be through insurance, or it could be through other modes of payment. And slowly as we scroll down, we have the discharge management showing the upcoming discharges that's happening in the upcoming days, and the discharge ratio to quickly understand how many discharge has been successfully completed and how many discharge request is in progress queue. And at the top, we have the navigation, allowing the user to navigate to different business processes like the room allocation, the housekeeping, the F&B, the IP discharge, the dedicated report section, and the access to the master, where they can access the master data of all the rooms, the food menu, and the patients. Now, if I click on housekeeping, we have a submenu opening up from where I can also view the dashboard of the housekeeping. And similarly, we have for the F&B. Now, I'd like to start off by initiating the life cycle by assigning the room allocation for a patient who is trying to get admitted with the hospital. So this is the dashboard screen for the IP ward manager. So the IP ward manager gets to see a similar kind of dashboard, and here he has limited access within the navigation. So from the home screen, I can navigate to the room allocation, which opens up a different page from where, as an IP ward manager, I can initiate a new room allocation request. So I click on this new room allocation button, opens up the form. And from here, I'll be able to see the list of rooms which are currently available in the hospital. So let's say I'm going to choose room 190. As I choose the room, it shows what are the specifications of the specific room, and I'll be able to fill in the details of the patient. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and fill in some sample data for this demo. So David is the name of the patient. 50 is the patient's age. And I'm just filling in some quick information about the patient in order to automate a lot of the communication activities of the overall life cycle. Patient's contact, the attendant's name, the contact of the attendant, and we have an ID that will be automatically generated after the room allocation. And I choose the date of admission and the reason for admission. So for now, I'll call it as general health checkup, and I'll submit the request. As I submit the request, it goes on to the approval lifecycle. So as I click on my approvals, I'll be able to see the list of requests that has come for the room allocation. So I open this up. So this was a request which was initiated. As we could see, David, whose age is 50, and he has come in for a general health checkup on 22nd of February. Now, as I click on the details, I'll be able to view the workflow of this specific process. So this is a very simple workflow where we have the room allocation with which the room gets automatically allocated to the patient so that the patient can start using the room as part of their inpatient journey. And here we also have the comment section. This is mainly for the stakeholders to effectively collaborate within the item. So let's say I want to add a comment. So I'll tag a user. And send the comment so that the users can very well effectively collaborate within the workflow. And once I click on confirm allocation, the room gets allocated to the respective patient. And now the other processes like the F&B process or the room service process would be initiated by the patients who are staying in the respective rooms. Now, for the patients to access these forms, we have an option called as the public forms where we can generate a QR code, and within the QR code, we'll embed the public form URL. So as a patient scans this and they can initiate a new request, and as they initiate, let's say the request is an FNB request. They scan the QR, they initiate their FNB request, and as they initiate it, it comes to the FNB manager for processing the request. So with that being said, I'll quickly share the dashboard screen, which is allocated for the respective departments like the FNB and housekeeping. So this is the FNB dashboard, which will be viewed by the food and beverages department manager. So in the dashboard, they quickly get to see the KPI metrics of the department. So how many items are in progress, which is visible in cooking, and how many items have been delivered to the patients, which is food delivered. What's the total number of orders, out of which one might have been dropped, and then the revenue that's generated this month, and a quick graph showing the comparison on different dates and different order that has been delivered along with the customer rating of those specific orders. And then we have the income trends, because as we deliver the food, there is an option where the customer or the patient, they'll be paying the amount of the food that has been ordered. Either they do it during the delivery or they can also pay it during discharge. And then the ratings that has been given for each of these orders, and the couple of items which are currently being cooked in the kitchen. So these are some of the orders which we have. We have the order ID and the room number and the patient detail of who is residing in a specific room. And we have the step metrics where as an F&B manager, I can quickly click and view the performance that's happening within my workflow, and the different users or the different personas who are actively participating in this specific workflow. And I also get to see what is the minimum time, what's the maximum time, what's the average time taken in order to complete a specific request. So now with this, we'll be able to easily understand the operational efficiency of different teammates or different stakeholders, which is going to help us in terms of driving core business decisions. So I can click on FNB orders, and when a patient initiates a request from their room by scanning the QR, that would be visible in my approvals. Now, for the demo purpose, I'm going to quickly initiate a request from the application itself. So I'm going to click on new FNB request, which opens up the food and beverages form. Now, as a patient, we can key in the room number. As we key in the room number, all the details, it's auto-populated on the form, and we can go ahead and initiate the food that we like to order. So we can choose what type of food they want to. They can choose the food item. So based on the food type they choose, the food items change dynamically. For example, if I choose non-vegetarian as the food type, I could get to see all the non-vegetarian items here. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and choose a coffee, and some of the data are auto-populated again. So what's the cost of the coffee? Now, how many quantity do I want to? So let's say I need 3 coffees. As a key in that, the total costs get automatically calculated here. And as an initiator, I can choose when do I want to make the payment for this request. So let's say this one goes pay now at delivery. And when they place the order, it now comes under my approval section for the F&B manager. So as I click on my approvals, the request from David is visible here. I can open it up, and as an F&B manager, I can go ahead and see what is the request that is coming from which room and so on. Now, as an F&B manager, I can log in and see what this request is all about, and I can allocate a staff who has to take care of this specific F&B request. So I'll quickly go ahead and choose a staff. I'm going to give the service date and time and save this for now. So after the food is being delivered to the patient who is located in the specific room number 190, we can get the customer ratings from the customer themselves. so that we can add the customer rating here, and you can add some information about the specific task. So um, coffee delivered to room 190. Number of copies delivered is 3. And the patient chose the payment option as the pay now or delivery. So just to acknowledge, have we received the payment? And we say yes. And I can click on approve and close. With that, this request would be completed. Other than approving this, the other actions which an approver will have is either they can reject the request, they can send it back to the previous step in case of any changes required, or they can reassign or delegate this specific task to a different user. So now I quickly go ahead and approve and close this request. With that, the request gets completed. And as an F&B manager, in real time, I need access to the master data of the food menu, which we have within or operating in the kitchen. So as I click on the master food menu, it shows a gallery view of the food items that is being served by us in the hospital. So I can go ahead and add a new item, or I can also go ahead and customize the list of food that we have. Let's say I want to add any new food item, or I want to change the rate of a specific item. All that can be done from here by clicking on these items and change the details. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and say 100 and save this. The data is going to be reflected so that when a customer initiates a new request, it would be updated with the new pricing. Likewise, I'd also like to show you the dashboard that we had created for the housekeeping manager. So for the housekeeping manager, this is the dashboard. As they log into the application, the very first dashboard screen that they would see, where they can quickly get to see what are the all number of items that they have been associated to, and out of which how many items are in progress and how many have been completed, and what is the average customer rating that we have got for the housekeeping requests that we have given to different patients in different rooms. And as I slowly scroll down, I get to see what are the services that's coming in the upcoming week and what is the customer rating trends for different requests that we have served. And even slowly as I scroll down, I get to see what is the customer rating we have for different requests. And again, a step metric. This is very specific for the housekeeping request, just like how we had for the F&B request. And I click on housekeeping. The same way how we are designed for the F&B, we also have designed for the housekeeping as well. So assuming that we have the QR where the patient scans it and initiates a new housekeeping request. So I just key in the room number, the details are auto-populating, and I could choose what type of request I have. So it could be a bed cleaning request, it could be a floor cleaning, it could be washroom cleaning, or requesting for more blankets and so on. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and choose bed cleaning. Need to clean the bed. The preferred date of service, and click on new housekeeping request. Once we initiate the request, now it's going to come into the housekeeping request manager queue. So I could see that. I can click on it. I can choose the staff who's supposed to go and service this request. I can set the service date and time. 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. And information about the specific task. Change of bed blankets and cleaning. And I can save this form for now so that the task gets assigned to Jim, and I can update this tomorrow after the job is done. Now, assuming the job has been done, I can come in and mark the rating that we got from the customer. And I can approve and close this request. Now, both the request, which is the F&B request and the housekeeping request that I had shown to you all the while, looks very simple. Now, if you want to make it even more complex by adding a lot of workflow steps, bringing in a lot of parallel branching workflows, all that can be easily done within the platform. Now that I've shown you the life cycle where a patient gets admitted to the hospital through the room allocation request, and when this patient stays in a specific room, they were able to initiate different type of requests like the housekeeping request, the F&B request, and so on. Now, the patient has recovered very well and it's time for the discharge. So in order to initiate a discharge, we have leveraged this access to the inpatient ward manager, where the inpatient ward manager from the home screen, he'll be able to click on the high paid discharge, which is there in the navigation menu, in order to initiate the discharge of a patient. So from here, I can click on new patient discharge. Now we can leverage this even more by enabling the access not only for the inpatient ward manager, but we can also leverage this action to the other roles like the nurse or the caretakers of the patients. So I click on new discharge and I'm going to go ahead and choose which room it is. I choose 190. I see all the details, and before I could initiate the discharge, I have to make sure a couple of steps are already in place. So I'm just verifying whether the doctor has cleared for discharge. Yes. And all the medicinal advice is given to the patients. Yes. And I'm going to quickly go ahead and specify the discharge date. And are there any return medicines? So I like to highlight the workflow here because this is a little complicated workflow that we have created, where as we initiate it in a parallel branch, the workflow goes to different departments like the pharmacy, the lab, the canteen manager, and so on. Once all these departments confirm their approval, it finally comes to the billing manager, where the inpatient manager can go ahead and prepare the final bill, showcase it to the patient, get the payment in. With that, the workflow would be getting completed. So for now, I say if I click on yes, then we have to attach the files, probably like the images which the patient or the nurse or the IP discharge manager can capture these medicines and they can initiate the discharge. In this case, I'm going to keep it as no, just to show you how dynamic the workflow is. So I'm going to keep it as no, and I click on initiate discharge. As I do this, now that would fall under my approvals. Now, as I do this, it now falls under my approvals queue. So I can click on this option, and as you could see, since I had kept it as the medicines that are no return, if I click on details and if I see the workflow, you could see the pharmacy step has been auto skipped. So probably if there are any return medicines, then that would go to the pharmacy so that the pharmacist who's sitting in that specific spot, they'll be able to review the details and approve it. Since there are no written medicines, this step has been auto skipped and it has now come to the lab manager for an approval. So as a lab manager, I'm going to mark that all lab investigations are completed and all the lab reports have been delivered, and I'll hit on submit. Similarly, the approval has to come from the canteen as well. So the F&B manager logs in, he fills in details. So what are the total number of orders fulfilled for this patient? So he'll have an offline record. So let's say there are 4 bills that has been delivered, out of which 4 are paid bills. So all the food that has been delivered, we got the payment during the delivery itself. So we don't have any pending amount to be paid. But if in case, if there are any pending bills to be paid, I can keep it as number of paid bills as 3 so that it automatically computes that this is the total number of unpaid bills and what is the value for the unpaid bill. And I can hit on submit. So now it goes to the billing manager for an approval, where the billing manager can open up and see all the details of this specific patient discharge activity by saying in all the details which came in from the medicines team, from the lab section, from the canteen. And then as a billing manager, I can go ahead and mark if the final bill is ready. And once the bill is ready, I can verify whether the customer has approved all the bills, because before we could complete the billing section, we have to get the approval from the patient. We can add attachments. So in this case, I'm going to quickly go ahead and add a sample bill that I have with me right now. Done. And the payment option. So in the payment option, we have 2 different broader classification, where either the payment is done through cash or through insurance. So based on the option that we choose, the form will take its own shape. So if I click on cash, that's going to show me the option where the payment section has cash, what's the net value, and is the full payment done. And we have a handover checklist for the billing manager in order to complete the discharge life cycle. Or if in case, if we choose the payment option as insurance, we have a different section opening up where we'll have to upload the bill for the third party approval. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and upload the bill again here for the third party to approve it. And once that's done, we'll be awaiting for the approval from the TPA. So let's assume that we got the approval from the TPA. And what is the amount that has been approved by TPA out of the overall amount? So let's say that is 7,000. So if I do that, we get to know what is the pending amount. So the pending amount is 1350. So once we get the pending amount from the patient, we can mark that the final payment is done, and we can tick mark the checklist. So this is a typical checklist for the billing manager in order to ensure a safe and smooth discharge of the patient. And I can hit on submit. With that, the flow gets completed. Now, as a senior management, as I said you initially, we get access to the overall dashboard. At the same time, from the admin view, we can also view the dashboard of the housekeeping team, of the F&B team, and we can also view the orders of these specific departments as well and take actions. And we have a dedicated report section where I'll be able to view the performance KPI of these different departments like the housekeeping department, the F&B department, and so on. As you could see, we have all the details here with graph projections, and we have the access to the master. So this is the sample or one version of the inpatient experience management application that we had built using Kissflow. With that being said, I'd like to finish off the demo of the custom inpatient experience management application that we built using Kissflow. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar.
That was a fantastic demo, Mr. Arvind. And I hope this session was useful to all of you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care. Bye bye.